Every year, more and more people start creative businesses. There's no denying that the demand is there. The barrier to entry has never been lower. But this also allows a lot of young creative entrepreneurs to overlook the business side of things, focusing on building the portfolio and finding your next dollar, while the structure of your business is nowhere to be seen. How to set up a creative business in 2025. I know that I'm kind of new to this whole game. I'm only 3 years in, but I think there's something to be said about that because I went through it recently and I know what I wish I had heard more of when I was going through this process. So hopefully I can make a video today that gives you the information that I wish I knew and have learned in the last 3 years. I know as creative people, setting up a business and just all of the legality and the structure around that is one of the last things on our minds. And I wanted to lay all this information out there for you to make it as easy and simple to understand as possible. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with the basics of forming an LLC. An LLC is a limited liability company, and there are many different reasons why you should start with this. One of the main reasons is that it can separate your personal assets and protect them from your business's liabilities. So if your business is getting sued or is in debt, your assets on your personal side, like your house or your car or anything like that, most likely they will be protected from anything that's happening on the business side. So this can start to kind of separate you from your business and protect you in that way. Having a proper LLC makes you look more professional. In the early days, it's this game of trying to seem more skilled, more talented, more prepared than you actually are. And this is one of those things that can take you to the next level. If your client sees that you have a proper business, a business email, you're structuring things in that way, they will respect you more as a business owner. So let's talk about how you will know when the time is right to start an LLC. I know it's hard when your main focus is just making money and you're just trying to figure out how to build a portfolio, how to start making money, and you don't really know when the right time would be to start an LLC. And is it when you get your first paycheck, or is it when you start making $1,000 a month or more? It's important to not let the business side of things be out of sight for too long, because as slow and difficult as those early days may be, growth can happen fast and you want to be prepared for it. So it's better if you just go ahead and take care of it, get it set up, start to practice what it looks like to be a business owner, and this will allow you to take yourself more seriously. Like I said, this early phase of business is just trying to convince yourself that you belong. I dropped out of college in December of 2021, and I started freelancing basically right away, January of 2022. This is a rare occasion for most creatives, but I was actually probably just as excited about the business side of things as the actual creation and the work. So I went ahead and formed my LLC right away, February of 2022. At this point, I was only making a few $100 a month from creative work, but I feel like I was just as excited to track my business expenses and write down my mileage whenever I was driving to jobs and be able to say that I had Cyrus and I'm LLC. Ideally, starting it sooner rather than later is your best bet. But if I had to give a kind of metric or a benchmark to allow you to know when it is time to start, I feel like once you're making consistent income, somewhere in the $500 to $1,500 a month range, that's the area where you're on the fence of potential big growth and you would rather get it started sooner than later. Another thing to take into consideration is if you're starting to make big purchases for your business or to allow you to do this work, it would be beneficial to have an LLC so you can write off those business expenses. Once tax season comes, you'll be able to write off those expenses and your taxable income will be lower. So let's go into how you set up an LLC. The first thing is figuring out the name. You need to make sure that your name is not already taken. So whatever name you decide on, mine was my own personal name, Cyrus and I'm LLC. It needs to end with LLC or limited liability company. You can check your state's business registry to see what names are taken, and that can allow you to decide what you will use moving forward. From here, you need to choose a registered agent. This is someone that will be getting all of the legal and tax documents for your business. And a lot of people will use themselves. When I first started, I didn't really understand, and I put my mom, which didn't matter because I was living in her place at the time, so that worked out. But you need a registered agent and you can use yourself. This is where it gets serious. So you can go online and file with your state's Secretary of State. and you'll need to file an Articles of Organization. This form or file is what officially makes your LLC a real thing. What you'll need for this is your company's name and address, your registered agent's name and address, and there is a cost. It ranges from state to state, anywhere from $50 to up to $500. I'm pretty sure for myself, it cost around $150 to start my LLC back in Florida. Once you've done this, you'll receive an EIN, and this is your employer identification number. This number is basically your business's social security number, and it is what you need to open a business bank account. It's what you'll need for taxes, all of these things. And getting this number kind of is like the beginning of your LLC. And once you have it all set up, all you need to do is just follow the rules to keep it properly withstanding in your state. So this means separating personal and business expenses, tracking it, complying with all of the tax laws in your state and federally, and you'll need to do annual reports, updating all of the information about your LLC to the state. Now that we've gone over the basics of what an LLC is, how to start one, and why, I want to discuss what I'm doing with my business in 2025. Now, this is a bit more niche, if you will, but I think that it's actually super important still for someone that's in the early stages of their business to hear, because this is something that I didn't hear until basically a few months ago. And this is something that could be on your horizon when your business is growing. So as many of you know, I moved from Florida to Chicago back in February of 2024, and I've surrounded myself with a bunch of very, very talented and creative individuals who are much further along in their business than I am. And doing this has allowed me to grow exponentially in the last year, not only creatively, but on the business front as well. And there's so many little things that I've never heard of and never would know if I weren't surrounded by these people. And this is just one of the examples why I want to make a video like this and more videos like this in the future, because I think that this information should be available to anyone and everyone. So this year in 2025, I will be filing as an S-Corp with my LLC. This is important for me this year because I'm going back to full-time freelance for the majority of 2025. And with that, all of my income will be from my business, rather than in 2024, where a majority of my income came from a W-2 job. And with all of that money coming from my business means that it's all subject to self-employment tax. That is until I heard about filing as an S-Corp, and that's what I'll be doing this year in 2025. So let me tell you what exactly that looks like. The first major rule of filing as an S-Corp with an LLC is that you need to pay yourself as the owner a reasonable and fair salary. So you'll need to use a payroll system. I'll be using Gusto, but there's plenty out there. And you use this system to pay yourself from your business to your personal. And in this process, your business is paying the income tax, federally and state. And then you, as the employee in this situation, are paying the employee side of the taxes. And all of that percentage adds up to the self-employment tax rate. What's super special about this is that that designated salary is the only portion of your business's income that is subject to self-employment tax. So the rest of your business's income, after all of your business expenses and write-offs, is only subject to income tax, federally and state. So let me break down what this actually looks like with some examples and numbers. Okay, I want to give an example where a business is located in Chicago with a net profit of $100,000 on the year. So that's $100,000 of taxable income. So in one example, you're filing as an S-Corp, which means you're paying yourself a salary. And let's say that you're paying yourself $40,000. Now, with the $40,000 being subject to self-employment tax and all other taxes, and then the $60,000 not being subject to self-employment tax, you'll be totaling at just over $25,000 in taxes. Now, in another example, with $100,000 of net profit, if that total $100,000 is subject to self-employment tax, you're going to be paying over $35,000 in taxes. That's over a $10,000 difference in how much you'll be paying in taxes. I know this example is specific to Chicago, but it's still a substantial difference. And I just want to make it clear with these numbers, because this is a number that could be super helpful for a lot of young creative entrepreneurs. Now, what's so special is that with all of the profits from your business, after paying yourself a reasonable and fair salary, and after all business expenses, the remaining profit is allowed to be distributed to yourself from your business account to your personal account, and it's not subject to self-employment tax. You need to pay yourself a fair and reasonable salary. So in this situation, if you were only paying yourself $10,000 salary and your distributions came out to $90,000, that's gonna look pretty bad on your tax return and could get you subject to audit. But if you go about this the right way and you pay yourself a salary, you can take the remainder of your profit as distributions. You're still getting that money, and you're taking away the chance of self-employment tax on the total. And I will always suggest consulting with an accountant or a tax advisor on this matter and just about any matter for your business. I know, like I said in the beginning, most creatives are not this interested in nerding out about this subject like I am. And it does take a lot of time to kind of figure out all these things and set it up for yourself. So there is some value in potentially kind of outsourcing or offloading this to someone that you trust. But either way, I just thought that it would be powerful to get this message out there to people, just so they know that this is an option that they can find a way to implement in their business. So I hope that this topic and kind of rant almost was able to help at least somebody that's early on in their creative entrepreneurial journey. Let me know of any questions that you might have in the comments below, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.